Where am I?
Well, look who's awake.
Who's there?
You could call me the Grim Reaper.
What do you want from me?
Oh, nothing. Except I want to watch you suffer.
What? Why?
Never you mind.
Then why don't you just kill me?
Oh, I will. Trust me, I will. But for now, I want to play with you a bit before you breathe your last.
Well, lucky for me, I've been waiting for something like this to happen for a few weeks now, so in preparation, I recorded some reviews beforehand.
Oh, that's what you care about? Your reviews?
Yeah, it's the most important thing in the world to me.
Of course it is. I don't doubt that. Not one bit. I will be recording an eternity's worth of reviews, because you won't be leaving here alive, I assure you.
Fine then. Time for Plan B. Hey everybody, Sol here, and welcome to day 1 of Sol's Spooky Halloween, The Revenge. And you know, I mentioned last year that I don't much care for vampires, and that's still true to this day. But I feel like maybe I haven't been looking in the right place for the right type of vampires that I would like. And believe you me, there's a lot of places to look, but, well, I think I need to turn my gaze elsewhere, and one place I've wanted to look for a long time is the world of Hellsing, specifically Hellsing Ultimate. So, why don't we take a look there for the beginning of Sol's Spooky Halloween? Because, why the hell not? Hellsing, known as Hellsing Ultimate outside of Japan, is an OVA series animated by various animation companies, produced by Genon, and is the second adaptation of the 1997 Hellsing manga series written by Kota Hirano. The series originally aired in Japan in 2006 through to 2012, with a total of 10 episodes. Short and sweet, that's just how I like it. So, y'all ready to dip your toes into the vast ocean of bloodiness that is Hellsing Ultimate? I know I am, so let's get started with this month of spookiness. Okay, let's kick this off in a good way, shall we? In this world, vampires and other supernatural creatures run amok, and a mysterious organization known as Hellsing, led by Sir Integra Hellsing, takes it upon themselves to clean up the swath of destruction and chaos that vampires create with the help of an extremely powerful vampire named Alucard. Alucard, along with the former police officer and newly turned half-vampire Ceres Victoria, and Hellsing's combat-skilled butler Walter Dornes, make short work of the vampires, but find their foes are not only seated with the supernatural, but with the Vatican and a group of dangerous neo-Nazis that threaten to envelop all of London in a massive holy war. Sounds pretty cool, right? The kind of plot that you could really sink your teeth into, yes?
Pun definitely intended.
Yeah, well, guess what? It's not. And I hate to say that it's not, because it really is the sort of premise I can see myself getting behind. But the series continuously loses its way so often that it's hard to really become enveloped in what's going on. Not just because the story takes a backseat to the excessive gore, but also because everyone is waxing ridiculous lyrical so much and so often that it makes my interest in the developing plot shrivel up and die like a withering plum in the hot summer sun. Ah well, maybe the characters will be better, who knows. So the characters are, well, let's just say I may have gotten my hopes up a little bit too early. So Alucard is the anti-hero of sorts, and he's a stupidly powerful vampire who swears fealty to the humans and the Hellsing organization, taking care of the supernatural elements that threaten the world with extreme force. Despite being an insane powerhouse of vampiric badassery, I have to say that I don't like Alucard. At all, really. Sure, he's got a whole repertoire of vampire moves, but all he ever seems to do is stand around with a stupid, smug grin on his face, waiting to be severely injured so he can show everyone just how super mega awesome he is faux show. Yeah, but in trying to make Alucard cool and badass and completely overpowered, they forgot to make him sympathetic or likable, even one bit. I'll admit that when he stops contorting his face like someone is vigorously sucking him off, he's a teensy bit more likable, since his design is pretty sweet. But overall, I'm not falling for Alucard's tricks. Not one bit. Then there's Ceres Victoria, a high-spirited police girl whom Alucard turns into a vampire for whatever reason. Instead of having an engaging moral quandary about becoming a creature of the night that feeds on human blood for sustenance, Ceres is just kinda like, and becomes a blistering badass in no time flat. Still, it's hard not to like Ceres. Can't say she's one of my favorites, but I do enjoy her presence more so than anyone else. There's also Sir Integra Fairbrook Wingate's Hellsing, who leads the Hellsing organization and is Alucard's master. Just like Alucard, Integra's main purpose is to stand around, smoke cigars, and attempt to be badass. Sometimes it works, other times it's just mildly stupid. This series isn't doing so well so far, so I'm just gonna summarize the rest of the characters worth mentioning, okay? There's Father Alexander Anderson, Alucard's arch-enemy and member of the Vatican's Iscariot. Pip Bernadotte, a mercenary for hire who is hired by Integra to work for Hellsing in the war against vampires and whatnot. Walter Dornez, the Hellsing family's butler, who is one hell of a fighter despite his age. And let's not forget all the members of the Millennium neo-Nazi group, like Schrodinger, a cat boy who works as a messenger for Millennium, and who makes me shake my head in dismay at the sheer inanity of his existence in this show. Zoran Blitz, a crazy woman who can create illusions with her hand. And finally the big baddie, Major Max, leader of the Millennium Neo-Nazis. I'm going to be real here, like for serious, all cards on the table, no holds barred. I think Major Max is one of my most hated villains of all time. I utterly despise him, pure and simple. Not just because he does absolutely nothing interesting throughout the entire series, but all he ever gets around to doing is talk. He just talks and talks and talks and talks, and he never ever shuts up. And everything he has to say is such grade school level philosophy and rhetoric that it just makes me wish I had the ability to strangle pixels. So, Major Max, all I can say is I hate you with every inch of my being, and also... Shut up, shut up, shut up! Okay then, so the characters are even worse than the plot. Don't think there's even a single likable character in this entire thing. And, yeah, I mean, there's gotta be some good things to say about it, right? Alright, I think I'm sufficiently drunk enough to take a look at the good things in this series. So let's get into the splish. Ditch. Whatever. So, most shocking to nobody but myself, I really don't have much to say here. Now, true, this isn't a smoking crater of awfulness like 8 Crazy Nights, Final Fantasy Legend of the Crystals, or Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, but it has left me high and dry in terms of compliments. With that said though, I will say that the animation quality is top-notch nearly all the time, delivering stylized but finely crafted movement and action in all situations. The background designs are also beautifully detailed and look so lovely when they're getting soaked in buckets of blood. For the most part, the character designs are quite good, and shy away from being too archetypal, so I'll give it props for that too. But the biggest applause I can give this series is its soundtrack. Orchestrated by the Warsaw Philharmonic Orchestra, the sweeping score for this series is quite impactful and huge, for lack of a better word, making the unadulterated gore and violence seem much more classy and purposeful. But notice how I used the word seem in that sentence. Stick around, folks, we'll get into it shortly. Now before I go off on the series like it raped my cats, I have to make sure you guys understand that I don't try to unjustly criticize a movie or a series. I try to highlight the good things about them and try to pick out what's bad about them, but I don't do it out of any sort of bias. With that being said though, if something is twice baked shit cakes, then I have no hesitation pointing that sort of thing out. Okay? You understand? Alright, then let's get started. Originally for this section, I was going to do a Sol's laundry list of bullshit for all the many problems this series has, but I don't even feel it's worthy of nitpicking that much. Why? Well, for starters, I already mentioned nearly every character's extremely aggravating habit of spouting off minutes upon minutes of self-aggrandizing soliloquy worthy of a first-year psychology student that literally had me clenching my fists in anger, but it does not stop there. This series is notable for being tremendously gory and violent, which I will say can be a big plus to people who are looking to get their rocks off to such a thing. But in all honesty, I don't feel this series does anything to deserve the level of ultra-violence that it displays. What do I mean by that? Well, it's a little hard to explain, but basically the way I feel is that extreme violence and gore needs to complement a story, not be the driving force behind the story. Take the anime series Shiki, for example, one I've praised for being ultra-violent. In that instance, the gore is most justified since it builds up the tension and suspense to a boiling point until extreme violence is the only answer to the characters' situations. Here, in this series, the absurd amounts of blood, gore, dismemberment, decapitation, physical violence, and generally heinous acts happens purely to shock and disturb. It's like that movie The Cell. It doesn't seem to exist for any other reason than to shock and disturb, rather than tell a complete and satisfying story. And for that reason, I resent it, even though I've gone on record multiple times as saying I'm a lover of ultra-violence. And then, when the series is not trying to keep your attention with blood and guts flying every which way, it's boring you to death with more 10-minute long speeches about humanity and war and vampires and blah 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 blah. Oh, I should probably mention one other thing about this series that really gets on my tits is how everyone is always making stupid faces and grinning like they took a big blast of Joker venom. It may sound like not that big a deal, but it just makes everyone's face that much more punchable when they all look so smug and superior. Not to mention this series wouldn't know tone if it had a bottle of toner forcefully shoved up its pupik. It goes from being exceedingly brutal and dark to just plain embarrassing with its forced comedic moments that go on way too long. I mean, seriously, extreme juxtaposition much? And that, to me, is the final nail in this series' coffin. And yes, that pun was also intended. Now, I'm actually surprised that I don't have a favorite and least favorite episode for this series, but only past me is surprised about that. Current me, the one who has actually watched the series, is not surprised at all. So, let's just wrap everything up then, shall we? Hellsing Ultimate was a massive disappointment for me. It did nothing to change my mind on vampires, and it didn't try to engage me in any significant way. If you're the kind of person who gets a raging stiffy for ultra-violence, then I would recommend this series to you just based on that, but if you're looking for a great story, engaging characters, or anything that won't bore you to tears, then I recommend that you keep chucking garlic to ward this beast away. I give Hellsing Ultimate. 1.5 eyes out of 5. So, Hellsing Ultimate. Is it watchable? Well, if you got a big enough stomach to swallow all the disgusting, horrible gore and violence, as well as the sickening rhetoric spilling out of everyone's mouths like the verbal squirts, then I would say yes, but tentatively. Otherwise, no, not at all. Is it enjoyable? See answer 1. Is it memorable? No, not really. It's just a big bloody blur in the back of my mind, and I can't think of any reason that would have me call it back anytime soon. But anyway, thanks for joining me for day 1 of Sol's Spooky Halloween: The Revenge. We got 3 more reviews coming in the rest of the month, so you're not gonna want to miss it. I mean, hopefully you'll never see these reviews, because hopefully I won't have been captured or killed or anything. But, well, if you're seeing this, it means I have been. I just hope everything's okay. And I'll see you next week. Yeah. See you next week. Want to stay up to date with all the latest EyeofSol news? You can follow me on Twitter as well as on Facebook at twitter.com/EyeofSol299 and facebook.com/EyeofSol. I update them every day, so if you want to check out news on the show as well as updates, just follow the links here. Hey everybody, thanks for watching my review of Hellsing Ultimate. I hope you enjoyed it. We got 3 more episodes in the Spooky Halloween Revenge, so you're not going to want to miss them. If you could like and share this episode, I'd really appreciate that. I'd also really appreciate a subscription to my channel too, because that's awesome of you if you do that. If you want to check out the previous Sol episodes, you can see the annotations playing on the video right now. Or if you want to check out my various social media sites, you can see my links to my Twitter page and my Facebook page there on the screen for you, as well as in the description. If you have an idea for an animated series or movie you want me to comment on, you can leave me a message in the YouTube comments on any one of my social media sites, or just let me know in any way you can think of to let me know what you want to see, and I'll add it to my list. Okay? Thanks again for watching everybody, and I will see you next week for the next episode in Sol's Spooky Halloween: The Revenge.